Hi, everybody. We're here today, 10 questions in 10 minutes with Gavin Shapiro. Hello, Gavin. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 10 questions in 10 minutes. So thank you, everybody, for sending those questions. And let's get through the first question. So what do you think pink flamingos represent in your work?
Pink flamingos. So let's see, my work I started actually with penguins. I started by trying to figure out a style by injecting things into it that I liked. So I started with penguins because I've always liked penguins since I was a kid. And I also started with Japanese architecture and design and stuff like that. And over time, it sort of evolved. I started making a bunch of concert visuals for an artist named Young Bae. And his aesthetic was very like summer, Florida, Miami themed kind of. And he asked if I could do flamingos. So I started doing flamingos, and it kind of just took off from there. And it just became a kind of an essential piece of my work from that point on.
Great. And what got you into 3D?
I started with 3D, let's see, like as a kid, my parents got me this program called Bryce 3D. Really, really old. And I just started playing with that. And then I sort of took a break for a while. After college, I got into 3D again because I did an internship with The Onion, and that involved doing a lot of compositing stuff. And then eventually I started getting into C4D, doing 3D stuff with them. And then it kind of took off from there. After that, I just started freelancing and taking on more 3D jobs, and just built up from there.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah. And how do you think your art is best experienced? On screen or?
Yeah, I would say on screen, full screen with music, if you can. I design all of my stuff. It's always sort of been designed with the intention of it being used as concert visuals. So I make everything at 120 beats per minute. That's the speed that all the birds dance. And I actually have a website, Shapiro500.com, where you can play all of the loops as concert visuals, or like if you need a background for a party or something, and you can change the speed on the site. So I think that's the best way to view them, is to sync them up to music and just chill out and watch the birds dance.
That's amazing. And why don't we share it on screen now and show it to everybody what your art looks like. So bear with me, everybody. I'm just going to share on screen some of the works. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Thank you. So my next question to you is, have you ever painted on canvas?
Not really, not seriously. Like when I was a kid in art class or something, but I was never good at it. I never really learned to draw. I never really learned to paint. So definitely not my forte. I've done it before, but I don't know how to do it. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I also have another question. And do you have any plans on creating AR or VR art?
That's a really interesting question. I would love to experiment with that. I love trying out new technologies. I love seeing that new kind of technologies can add to art, and you can communicate in different ways with them. So I think some of my stuff could be interesting in VR or AR. Some of my recent work is sort of like trying to look like it's a real thing, like as if it's a real exhibit in an art museum or something like that, or a real piece you could own. So I think those kind of things could look really interesting in VR and AR, and I'd love to try that out. Make like a virtual exhibit or something.
Absolutely. That sounds definitely like a great plan. And you seem to be open about the way you create your animations. I've seen some of your tutorials available, for example, on YouTube. But how do you think artists should share their skill set or techniques with the public?
Sure. Yeah, no, for me, the tutorial stuff kind of happened because people were asking about how I made the stuff that I make. And I also really like teaching, so it only seemed natural to start making some kind of breakdown videos and show people how to do this stuff. And it's actually been extremely rewarding because people send me what they make. And they tag me on Instagram and I get to see it. And it's like seeing my children or something. You know what I mean? It's like I put this idea out in the world, and then all these people are using it and adapting it and making new stuff and stuff that I never even considered or thought was possible. There was someone who made a really cool like Escher piece based on one of my tutorials. They like remade that Escher stair set thing, and they made it so it's like constantly going into it. And it's just, it's really rewarding to see that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it must make you very proud, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fun.
And And my next question to you is, do you consider your work to be socially critical?
Socially critical, like a commentary on society in some way.
Yeah, precisely.
Let's see. Not too much, but I'd like to push it more in that direction a little bit, I think. Like a lot of the stuff that I've made so far, a lot of the earlier stuff is very just like, let's make something that looks cool and it's funny, it'll make people smile, it's interesting, it's complicated, how does it work? You know, it's more just to get people thinking and to bring a smile on their face. But now that I've sort of started honing in on a style, I would like to use that to make some kind of, you know, social commentary. Some of my more recent work is sort of playing with that in terms of like a critique on the art world in a way, you know, like what is value in the art world, for example. Like my last thing with Nifty Gateway, you know, one of the things I did was I released a set of 10 things, but one of them was a broken thing, and I set it as half price. So, you know, in the real world, the broken thing would be cheaper, but now it's a 1 out of 1 on Nifty Gateway. So does it have more value? So I'm starting to explore how to say something a little bit more nuanced and to confront people a little more. So I'm working on that.
Fantastic, thank you. And my next question is, since I'm looking at these wonderful artwork we're seeing now on screen, would you own a real flamingo? Would you keep it as a pet?
I would love to own a flamingo. I think that'd be amazing. I live in New York, so it'd probably die very quickly because it's freezing here. But if I had the capacity to care for a flamingo, I think that'd be awesome. I'd love to have a flamingo or two.
I love that too. And where do you get your inspiration from, the loops?
A lot of different places. A lot of them I get inspired by math. I really like math and different mathematical ideas and structures. Like this one is based on something called a Sierpinski triangle. It's a fractal that you can zoom into forever, and there's always going to be more triangles. I did one based on the golden spiral, which also can zoom infinitely. You know, that goes forever.
Yeah.
There's one based on the golden triangle there. So I like math a lot. There's one based on Rule 30, which is one of Wolfram's cellular automata, which is really interesting if you look it up. So math is a big inspiration for me. And then also, like, I try to explore different themes. Like this, you know, this one that we're looking at now is like that kind of vaporwave, Florida, Miami summer party theme. I've done other stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I've done other stuff that's like based on Iceland. I went to Iceland. I really like that. So yeah, just from different sources. I try to draw from the real world. I try to draw from math.
Super, thank you. So the last question is for you, and this one is the bonus question that comes from the audience. It was the most voted on Twitter. So here it goes. What are your thoughts on 3D artists using tutorials and pre-made assets for the works they sell? What do you think the line should be drawn when it comes to using tutorials and pre-made assets, and how much do you feel they need to be changed, altered, or customized?
That's a great question. And I think that's asking about people who, like, they do a tutorial, they make the tutorial, and then they just sell that as an asset, or they sell that, you know, they tokenize that, or they just
could be that, or
they take some existing 3D asset and they tokenize it. Let's see. I think that as artists, you know, we have the opportunity to say something with our work, and whatever you put out in the internet is, you know, how you're going to represent yourself as an artist. So if you are representing yourself with other people's work, then I don't think, I think you're going to hurt yourself in the long run, because you're sort of missing out on an opportunity to show people what makes you you. And yeah, I don't know if I have an opinion on, you know, is it bad or good, or should there be a limit between what you can do? But I think people who just take a tutorial and put it up, or take an asset and put it up, I think over the long run, people will catch on. And I think you might hurt yourself in the long run.
Thank you. Well, it's been a great journey. Thank you so much, Gavin, for this interview.
Absolutely.
It's been great. Thank you to SuperRare and MoCDA for organizing this series, and I'll see you again next time, everybody.
Yeah,
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Thanks
Gavin.
for having me. Bye-bye.